Right, welcome everybody to this joyous occasion, celebration of Rose's life. Don was going to be here, but he couldn't make it, so he's in Franschhoek, so our thoughts are with him today. Rose, we had a lot of time to chat to Rose, and she didn't want to have a sad occasion celebrating her life, so it's about having fun stories, and just really enjoying the day. So she had a lot of her family came to visit her over the last month or so, flying in from England, and so they're not here today, but they were with her and they spent a lot of quality time with her, which is very special. So we're going to start off with all of the progeny saying a little something, and finishing off with Ren and Karen going to tell you the story. So without further ado, young Joshua Mills.
You've always been there for me, right from the very start. I always knew you loved me, from the bottom of your heart. I loved it when you came to stay with me, even though you made me eat my greens. You always made me happy, especially when you listened to my story. Even though you aren't next to me, I know you're flying free, way up above, watching down on me.
My granny was an extraordinary person in my life. She taught me so many things, and we had a special connection. My granny wasn't a granny that would let you sit around and watch TV, but rather get us to feed her crazy talking birds, let the chickens out early in the morning, and feed the ducks in the afternoon. There was a small hazard, or when I was 3, it was a rather large hazard, and his name was Goobles, a grumpy turkey who scared me, so I stayed close to Don's heels. My granny was also rather crafty, not in the naughty way, but rather just had the gift to create many wonderful things. She taught me to fabric paint, throw clay, sew, and many other clever things. I am so grateful for this little inheritance. Granny was always encouraging and wanted me to experience different things on the farm. One was riding her horse Bigfoot, and he was really rather large. Granny told me I should be brave and try to go on Bigfoot, as this would be a great opportunity. I have since done many horse riding camps, and I have loved horses, inspired by Granny. We all loved the farm. Jumping forward to more recently, when it was Christmas Eve, we had the whole family around, and Granny was singing on her bed, having so much fun. One thing my Granny loved was the celebration of Christmas, so this year was particularly special as we surrounded her by the family. Just before Christmas, I asked Granny what I could get her for Christmas. She said she wanted me to do her makeup and nails. Sadly, I did not get to do this for Granny, but I loved the way she just kept on encouraging me to do what I loved. Just the other day, Courtney and Michaela said their goodbyes, and when they turned to leave, Granny looked at me, and I smiled, and she smiled back, and we had a little giggle. And apparently she said, "Why is Ashlyn looking so naughty, or is she just excited?" I've always loved my Granny so much and miss her hugs and kisses. I'd like to share a poem with you for my Granny. If roses grow in heaven, Lord, please pick a bunch for me. Place them in my grandmother's arms, and tell her they're for me. Tell her I love her and miss her, and when she turns to smile, place a kiss upon her cheek and hold her for a while. Because remembering her is easy. I do it every day, but there's an ache within my heart that will never go away.
The ship sails and I stand watching till she fades on the horizon and someone at my side says, "She has gone." Gone where? Gone from my sight, that is all. She is just as large now as when I last saw her. Her diminished size and total loss from my sight is in me, not in her. And just at that moment, when someone at my side says, "She is gone," there are others who are watching her coming over the horizon, and other voices take up a glad shout, "There she comes!" That is what dying is, and horizon and just the limit of our sight. Lift us up, O Lord, that we may see further.
I've got two poems. The first one's on her suffering and no longer in pain. God saw you getting tired and a cure was not to be. So he put his arms around you and whispered, "Come to me." With tearful eyes he watched you and saw you pass away, and although we love you dearly, come on. The golden heart stopped beating, hard-working hands at rest. God broke our hearts to prove to us he only takes the best. The second one represents why we're here today, celebrating her life. You can shed tears that she has gone, or you can smile because she has lived. You can close your eyes and pray that she'll come back, or you can open your eyes and see all she's left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see her, or you can be full of love, of the love you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember her and only that she's gone, or you can cherish her memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn your back, or you can do what she'd want, smile, open your eyes, love and go on.
Okay, well, there's many things I can say about my granny, but the speech is short because I just cry all the time. My favourite memories with my granny were when she used to take me for chocolate milkshakes in Swellendam, place by the waterfall, and then afterwards we'd go to the fairy shop. She encouraged my wild imagination, even though it was unrealistic at times. She continued to believe in me throughout my school career by sending me weekly messages, just checking that I was okay. I couldn't have asked for better support. I loved it when I would go with her to feed the horses. It used to amaze me how she could go and stand behind the horses without getting kicked, because I didn't know anyone else who could do that. In grade 5, we had to do a project on our most inspirational person, and I chose her. Because I don't know anyone else's granny who went out to go find their family at the age of 62 and succeeded to find 2 brothers and a sister. When I think of my granny, the word that comes to mind is strength. Because even in her final month, whenever someone would come to visit her, she'd give them the biggest smile possible and thank them for coming. And she would just be so grateful that they were there, as if it was the best part of her day. Even though she is gone, she'll forever be in my heart. And I'm so grateful I got to. Thanks.
So I've got a story. I thought that was amazing. Great. I've got a story about Granny that a few of you will know, and I had to tell it today. I think Callum was about 2 years old. We were down at the Breda River, and they had this ski boat. And we go kneeboarding, and they had a tube, and Granny wanted to go on the tube. So I said, "Sure, I'll take you for a spin on the tube." So Ren's next to me, and she's cruising up and down the Breda, and I'm learning the ropes. And I find that if I weave the boat sideways, the tube sometimes doesn't, and then it does go outside the wake. And I was having a lot of fun, and we had to turn around, and we came past the side. We were coming down the right-hand side of the river, and I was turning, and Granny was coming out on the rope, on the tube. And I looked about over there with the jetty with these 2 boats on the back, parked on the jetty. And I did a bit of trigonometry, and I figured I was in a bit of trouble, so I'll just ease into the middle of the river. So I slowly eased into the river, obviously get away from the jetty, which was now about there. And Granny, being Granny, had gone outside the wake. She was starting to go, further out, past the boat. So obviously you just go further into the middle of the river, which will, pull her away from the jetty. But what it did was she sped up even more. Now the jetty was about there. And I turned around and I watched this, and everything went into slow motion. And it was Granny motor, Granny, and there were the 2 boats. The one had these 2 sort of 70 horsepower on the back, and then the jetty, and the other one had a big 150 horsepower on the back of it. And it was just extraordinary how. And then her face, she had her sunglasses on, and she leaned and lifted the tube up. So if she was going to hit the boat, she would have bounced off it. And she missed the boat by 2 centimeters. The relief was extraordinary. Everything just sped up, straight into the back of the 150. She hit this thing, it popped her off up into the air. Now, Don had seen it from the house. We were a house away. And I mean, Don is the most exceptional human being. He's the kindest, softest guy around. He was so angry when I was marching down the jetty, and we managed to get Granny out the river. And there was, I mean, I was feeling terrible, obviously, but there was no sort of anger or whatever. Don was a bit upset, but Granny was absolutely fine. We get her in the thing, we go to our jetty, carry her, sort of hobbles across, gets to the house, and we're sitting in the lounge, and Don's still a bit cross. And Granny says to me, or Don says something about, what happened, why did you do that or something? And Granny looks at me and says, you know what? I will be so much better behaved from now on. I'll listen to everything you tell me. So she took a situation where it could have crushed me. And she just turned it around, and it was the most extraordinary woman. So that's my Granny story. Ren and Karen are now going to give you the story of Granny's life.
I love the story.
The twin.
Wow, what a life. Maybe that's why she had twins. Just one child would never have been able to keep up with her alone. Moira Boyd was born on the 5th of November 1947 in Southampton, England, to Frances Chirono, a young mum, and Thomas Boyd, a sailor father. Her mother was unable to bring her up due to poor health, and with Thomas not being around, she was given up for adoption, left in the snow on a step of an orphanage with her birth certificate at a week old.
In her life story that she sent to us in December, she wrote, She wrote in her life story that she sent to us in December that she felt very fortunate that she was adopted by a family who saved her, as many orphans and street urchins were being taken from orphanages and off the street and sent to Commonwealth countries to increase whites in the colonies.
Her adopted parents, Victor and Phyllis Shearing, adopted her at the age of 6 months as their son Michael's birthday gift. He was 10 years her senior, and they named her Rosemary Elizabeth. They moved to Rhodesia when she was a young child. She loved her mum, Phyllis, but sadly Phyllis died when she was 6 years old, and her dad then remarried. Her new stepmother left her feeling lost and unsure of who she was, as she would often remind her that she had been adopted.
Mom was pretty much a termly boarder at school, not by design, but no one visited her or picked her up on weekends, and she was lucky if she got to go home on holidays. She later discovered her father was ill and had many nervous breakdowns. After school, she became a nurse and then married our father, Bartley Maytham, in her early 20s, and she was soon pregnant with Ren and I. They split when we were very young.
Mom, Karen and I left Zimbabwe after various farm invasions. The last straw was after we spent a night under the kitchen floor with the gorillas running above us through the house. Mum decided to head south in our little VW Beetle, and we relocated to Johannesburg, where she blossomed as a medical rep, and she quickly found her zest for entrepreneurship.
To accelerate making new friends, she cleverly rented a large house in Greenside and advertised for housemates, and later moved to a small holding in Chartwell, where again she had a number of tenants joining her commune.
Many lifelong friendships were made here. Some of you are here today. Kent and Philippa. Her other lodgers included Gabi from Germany, who she recently spent 6 weeks with in Germany during her IPT treatment. Carol, a girlfriend of James, who is also here, I think, not, in Greenside in the early 80s. This is such a testament to her loyalty, to her relationships with friends.
Growing up was so much fun, as there was always lots of people around for entertainment, as well as horses, geese, ducks, chickens, and a cow called Rumace. A tennis court for the Sunday tennis parties, and a rather large swimming pool to paddle a boat across. In Chartwell, she met Brad, who had an interest in the jewelry trade, and they were engaged for 12 years. Mum worked as a sales representative during the day and in the evenings and on weekends, and she turned her hobby of making jewelry into a business. This helped and enabled Brad to set up his very own successful business as a manufacturing jeweler. They parted company after 13 adventurous years together. We had lots of fun, including many great adventures, camping trips down to the Transkei.
In 1992, after having helped some friends move to Johannesburg from London, and with the release of Nelson Mandela, Mum saw the potential in creating a relocation business as the world's eye was now focused on the new South Africa. In 93, together we started Relocation Africa in Johannesburg. 2 years later, I came down to Cape Town on holiday. After a week, I phoned Mum and asked her to pack all my stuff in my car and put it all on the train, as I was never leaving Cape Town. She took me so literally that she also moved down to Cape Town. We opened the Cape Town branch of Relocation Africa, a business which has and continues to relocate thousands of expats into many countries across Africa. This year is our 25th anniversary.
In Cape Town, 94, Mom started to enjoy sailing and joined Royal Cape Yacht Club, which is where she met her sailor and energetic partner, Don Bailey. While writing this, we realized that Mom was our age when she met Don, a lifetime ago. They moved to Franschhoek and lived across the road from Le Petit Premier on the Franschhoek Pass. It was 2 years later that she was diagnosed with chronic lymphatic leukemia, a disease which she lived with for 22 years, almost double her initial prognosis. She fought it bravely and didn't let it impact her life. And I'm fairly confident that anyone who met her casually over the past 20 years was unaware that she even had it.
Together, Don and Mom's entrepreneurial spirit was evident in their development of Montmartre on the Franschhoek Pass, their small holding near Le Minfontaine on the Breda River, as well as Spansbeekse Plek on the Ashton-Swellendam Road. If you went to visit them, you would have been offered many homemade delicacies, from pickles, jam, homegrown beetroot, soaps or lemonade, through to home-distilled advocaat, all lovingly made by Rose, although the advocaat definitely had Don's fingerprints all over it. There are many horses, dogs, cats, chickens, turkeys. Who could ever forget Mr. Googles? And the alpacas kept them company in all these homes.
At the end of last year, they sold Spansbeekse Plek. Don and Mom moved to the Sands to spend their retirement with their dogs and cats at the mouth of the Breda. Having enjoyed almost a symptom-free 20 years, the leukemia eventually progressed, and the last 6 months were tough on the strongest person we know. She fought it bravely, but in late November she got the news that the treatment regime would be complicated and possibly not successful. So she made the bravest decision of all, to spend the time with her family and friends, and to enjoy the Rice Krispies, pepper steak pies, almond croissants, Magnum ice creams, custard, and the odd Coke.
This is a brief description of her full life and shows how resourceful, opportunistic, driven, adventurous, strong, entertaining she was. We've left the most magical part of her life story for the end. Imagine living your whole life alone on this earth as an orphan, always wanting to know who your parents were, why you were given up for adoption, or if you have any siblings, or a half-sibling. We received a bizarre email from someone called Yazan in 2010 asking about a Rose Maytham Boyd. She was a relative of Victor and Phyllis Shearing and was a genealogy addict, and tracked down Mom through a family tree website on the internet that Andrew had been developing.
This email was like the cover to Narnia. Should she walk through it? She's Rose Maytham. Of course she should. And she did, charging through like a kid in a candy store. Can you imagine? The life-changing event of finding out at the age of 63 that you have not one, but 2 blood brothers and a half-sister. One of her brothers, Paul, who lived only 5 kilometers away from her for 20 years in Joburg. They probably swore at each other in parking lots. Knowing Paul maybe quite often. Her youngest brother, Peter, is a chef in England, and her half-sister, Rosemary, lives 20 minutes from him.
Had her prognosis of 12 years been accurate, she would never have known her family. In the last 9 years, Mom has visited her family overseas and connected her dots, which certainly gave her a sense of belonging, gave her peace.
Gave her peace with her past, and has given us a bucket load of extra Christmas cards to write. We've all been so blessed by Mom's family. Both her brothers and her sister spent a few weeks in December with us, and her sister Rosemary stayed in the room with her for the entire 2 weeks she was here. keeping her company, which she really cherished.
Mum thoroughly enjoyed this time she had, pain and symptom-free, watching the little birdies feeding outside her room, shouting at the naughty squirrels stealing the food, and smiling and singing Christmas carols with our families on Christmas Eve. Christmas was always her favourite time of year, and this wonderful, magical evening was 4 days before she slipped into a coma, and 3 days later she passed away peacefully with us and Don by her side.
We'd like to just share a few stories about our amazing mum, Rose. Our acronym for Rose: R, resourceful, O for optimistic, S for strong, and E for entertaining. Resourceful. The predicament of a single young mom was, how does she go to parties with twins and no money for babysitters? Easy, roll up a mattress. Third, we slept under restaurant tables, back seats of cars parked in driveways, in the corner of any party. Her principle was pretty simple. Get used to sleeping anywhere, no matter how loud the music was or uncomfortable on the floor. We'd be fine. As a result, Ren and I can pretty much sleep anywhere.
At Macaulay House in grade Naught, we were cast as angels in the nativity play. Communication wasn't great from the school, but we managed to convince Mum that we needed full angel outfits. Being resourceful, she stayed up through the night and sewed 2 beautiful angel outfits, each with fabulous wings. The next day, we proudly marched to the school where we were told that we were supposed to be dressed in school uniform for the nativity play. Oops. Mum certainly was kind and resourceful and patient that day.
At the age of 6, we were still at Macaulay House in Johannesburg. As full-time working single mom, the opportunity for miscommunication was rife. On this occasion, we managed to negotiate to go home after school on a play date. We were dropped back at home at 7 p.m. We were welcomed by a bunch of red and blue flashing lights. Turns out our mother had no idea of our excellent negotiation skills. So she had called the police and she thought we'd been kidnapped.
This was obviously getting too much for Mum, so we were sent off to boarding school, Saley Park Convent in Rustenburg. Seemed like a good solution for her unruly twins. A confined environment, good guidance from the nuns. We lasted 3 years.
Optimistic. Parenting young girls required some creativity, so the nurse in Mom thought, how can I make sure these girls never smoke? I know, let's get them to smoke Camel Plain cigarettes and make them have a sip of water in between puffs until they puke. That'll put them off for life. She probably heard about this from one of her nursing friends, and I guess she was convinced that this would guarantee that neither of us will smoke. She was half right.
Strength. Mom was rather adventurous and also wanted fairly independent children, which required some heavy tasks at an early age. One which seemed rather memorable was driving to Transkei on our annual 4-week summer holiday. The fully laden Land Rover got a flat tire. Mom told her 2 12-year-old girls to hop out in the rain, open the back of the Land Rover, bring Brad and her a drink, and then proceeded to give us instructions from within the dry Land Rover on how to change a tire. We were real lightweights, so some of this required both our weights and strength. But together we managed, and now we can proudly say we can change our own tires.
Entertaining. Throwing birthday parties on a budget with her twin girls required some creativity. She put her nursing friends on the job. They brought some interesting balloons to one of our parties. One of the balloons blew over the fence to a surprise neighbor who kindly returned the deflated condom to Mom with questioning smoke. So part of being friends with the medical fraternity allowed them to use their supply in rather interesting ways.
Mom was blessed with so many varying gifts. Perhaps that was why she had twins. We each inherited our share of these many gifts: rugged determination, strong work ethic, being a free spirit, being adventurous, crafting, nursing, a love of music, for riding, camping, sailing, laughing out loud, laughing till you cry, and so much more.
So in closing, we'd like to say to her, Mom, what a wealthy life you've afforded us growing up. It was not about financial wealth. It's a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of determination, a wealth of consideration for and observation of others, a wealth of inner strength. You did not come from wealth, a baby on a doorstep, but you showed us real wealth. and will be eternally grateful for that. You taught us so many things, but one that stands out is your self-determination. Only you can change the trajectory of your life. You make the decisions, and you point the arrow in the right direction.
Your life is such an incredible story that when we tell people about it, they're literally covered with goosebumps, and some have shed a tear. Who would have thought, out of all your challenges, being given up for adoption, having 4 mothers, married and divorced, raising twins, full-time work, and then diagnosed with cancer in your late 40s, none of this broke you. You were so strong. You were powerful. You were unwavering, and most admirably, you were gracious to the end, never complaining, always humble, always smiling, always amazing.
This is an excerpt from her book. My life has been an interesting one, and in no way do I regret anything or what happened to me through my life, nor do I wish it was different. If I was, I wouldn't have had such experiences, nor would I be the person I am today. Needless to mention, that was how it was, and there must have been a reason for it to be the way it was.
We would like to propose a toast to celebrate Rose's life. Cheers. This is for Don. He's not here today with us. Don, you have been amazing. An amazing partner to Mom over the past 25 years. The two of you have been an inspiration to all of us. With your energy and the amount you have achieved, the adventures you took Mum on and made her so happy. These past few months that you have been staying with us can't have been easy for you. But you integrated into our family so easily, and we are all so grateful to have shared these times with you. We're missing having you around, especially Baxter and Scarlett, and we look forward to spending time with you in Bitsands and in the future. Thank you. Don.
Right, and that is it.
Thank you.
Thank you, enjoy yourselves. Some food, share stories. Oh, sorry. Okay, so Pam, would you like to do a reading? We'd like you to do it.
Renee sprung this on me earlier this morning. This is a message of hope. As a Christian, this is the book that guides us. I just want to read an excerpt from you that Renee has chosen. It's from Paul's letter to the first letter to the Corinthians. Listen to the secret truth. We shall not all die. But when the last trumpet sounds, we shall all be changed in an instant, as quickly as the blinking of an eye. For when the trumpet sounds, the dead will be raised, never to die again, and we shall all be changed. For what is mortal shall be changed into what is immortal. What will die must be changed into what cannot die. So when this takes place, and the mortal has been changed into the immortal, in the scripture, death is destroyed, victory is won. Where death is your victory, where death is your power to hurt. Death gets its power to hurt from sin, and sin gets its power from the law. Thanks be to God, who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ.
Right, can we just also thank you so much to Barky and Pam for having us here. Where's Barky? Hi, Barky and Pam. Thank you very much for hosting us so graciously. And thank you very much to Karen for organising this today.
Great help.
She let us have a holiday. So. Thank you very, very much for doing that. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, enjoy yourself.
And what was wonderful was seeing the video of your Christmas